Segue to my next question, which is, what is your advice for entrepreneurs dealing with failure and adversity, right? I mean, I can remember when I was first starting LawTrades and we were raising our first round of funding, I must have gotten rejected by at least 100 different investors. And from each rejection, I took it as like, all right, how can I sort of like improve from there? Or like, what are some data points that I can like capture to sort of improve my next pitch and so on and so forth. But for a lot of folks out there, it's a very lonely, distressing sort of like path that they take. How do you deal with that yourself? But also, like, what's some advice you could give to entrepreneurs that are out there in dealing with failure and adversity?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like to some extent you embraced it, and it's very easy to say embrace it, but you have to say what is the goal of the initial meetings that I'm going to be having. If the expectation of trying to raise money in an initial meeting is that money is just going to be coming and flowing left and right at you, and people are just going to be falling in love with your concept, majority of the time, then you need to reset those expectations.
Right.
It's very easy to say that failure is far more valuable than success, but it really is.
Yeah.
And like the most important thing an entrepreneur can do is to say, I am going to embrace failure. I am going to fail 100 times, and from every single one of them, I'm going to figure out exactly what you did. What is the one thing that I did wrong? What's the one takeaway that I can make to just make my pitch deck better, to make my pitch better, to build a better relationship? Right. Being introspective and being truly self-aware of, and not taking it personally that the failure means you're a failure. Mm-hmm. It's not a failure if you learn something, and it's about kind of changing the definition of failure.
Right.
If you presented and they don't end up deciding to invest behind you, but you learned something and you built a relationship with someone, that's hardly a failure. That's a success.
Right.
And you have to be looking at all those small win successes and not perceiving them as failures.
Right. And I guess that's where sort of the passion comes from, right? So it's like you're not starting a startup for all the goodness of it. You're kind of just like, what level of pain can I assess? Can I really partake to start this journey?
Absolutely. You have to be willing to go through a whole lot of, obviously, pain. But the goal is to make it non-painful, in my personal opinion. It's to say, I am going to learn so much every single time. And if you say the goal of a startup, Lean Startup is one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
And Lean Startup talks about how the goal of a startup is learning.
Right.
Straight up. So if the goal of a startup is learning, and you're meeting lots of people, and you're going to be learning from all those conversations, then in the beginning you are achieving your goals. That's not a failure.
Right.
So it's about setting the right expectations and setting the right goals.